Greetings, everybody. We're going to try something new today. We're going to put the spotlight on me where it should be. This is Ari, Coach Ari, and I want to talk about one of the issues that I face in my life because I'm going to ask the other guys for help. So, one issue in my life that's just been a constant struggle is just feeling incompetent or less competent in so many areas of my life. I feel like I haven't achieved anything great. Sure, I've gotten my doctorate. I'm a good parent. I've had a decent career, but it's hard for me to find one thing in my life where I feel like I truly excelled. So I don't know if this is an episode about being just competent or reaching excellence. I'm actually going to show you guys a little bit of my ruminating brain in this intro. So I'm going to just say that I struggle much of the time, every day. I feel plagued by feelings of incompetence. Like even just setting up my podcast lighting and my sound. Like I just feel like I can't do it right. That somebody else can do it better. So I'm always comparing myself. You guys might agree with that. But so welcome to the Nice Guy Show. I'm your host, Ari Graff. I'm joined by my co-hosts, Faisal Khokhar and Chuck Chapman. So as I was preparing for this episode, I was trying to find something personal, and I realized like this is one of the most personal and pervasive things that I go through. And I figured probably a lot of nice guys go through this, is just feeling incompetent all the time. And what do you do with that? Faisal, is that something that you experience, or have you reached a different level?
Talking about competence I think competence is more relevant to situation. So there might be people might feel more competent in certain areas, or in other areas they might not be competent. And I can relate to you on that one because my brain ruminates, and I can see a lot of the times where I don't feel competent in a lot of areas. And I was never a competent writer, never a competent speaker, never any of these competencies. And then I said, you know what, I'm just going to lean into just being, working on the things that I'm not competent at. And a lot of the time is I'm learning how to do something. And half of the time, I don't know if you guys feel this as well, but I'm fighting the urges of you're not good enough, you're doing it wrong, or all the crap in your head. So it's like a parallel progress I'm having.
Yeah, just like I feel like I suck a lot of the time. And it's just like being okay with sucking is how my life feels a lot of the time, especially as I push into the types of projects that I've never done before. I'm only a year into podcasting. I'm just getting into content creation.
Yeah.
Even coaching, I've been a psychologist a long time, but coaching, I've only been doing a couple of years. So there's just so much new right now. So it really feels like tolerating suck a lot of the time. Like how much suck can you tolerate? How about you, Chuck?
Yeah, I think I've gone through different phases. My internal critic these days isn't as loud as it's been in the past. I think I've kind of learned to adapt a little bit more with it. There are definitely certain things though that that I want to do and I'm doing, and I'll just think that, I'm not good at this. And there's this difference, I think, between confidence and competence, and that you become more confident the more your competence grows. And competence, I think, is something that you do with repetition. I was just thinking about like my pottery. I've been doing pottery for a couple of years, and I just kind of trying to get back into it. And I'm out there and I'm like, oh, this sucks. This is terrible. Like I just have to start completely over, where it's probably not as bad as I think it is. I'm comparing myself to people who've been doing, this stuff for years. And I look at, YouTube videos. I'm like, oh, they just do it so easily. And I kind of have to remind myself that this is just part of the competence building of the repetitions of going out there and doing that. Something that really kind of shifted my own internal thinking, though, was like, I would never choose to think about or talk shitty to myself. So I'm not choosing that. Therefore, that's not me. That's coming from some other part of my psyche. And sort of like a recording, if you think like you get a song stuck in your head, you can kind of get a thought stuck in your head. And the way you change the song stuck in your head is you start thinking about a different song. You start thinking, you consciously choose a different song. And so with the ruminating brain, I consciously, when I find myself doing that, I try to go, okay, is this thought serving me? If it's not, then let's change the thought. What does serve me? And I had this epiphany a few years ago where I realized, like, I'm not treating myself lovingly or treating myself like somebody that I love if I'm talking shit to myself. So when I catch myself doing that, I try to turn it around and just say, I love myself so much. Chuck, you're a good guy. You worked really hard. You've got, a lot of things in your life that you've overcome. And I just try to start talking positive to myself. So it's not nearly as loud as it used to be. And for the most part, especially in the beginning of things, I just kind of expect to suck, but I also expect to not give up and to just keep doing it until I get to a place where I feel more confident because I'm more competent.
Yeah, I like some of the things you said. There's this, that when I was putting this together, I was trying to figure out what's the relationship between competence and confidence. And I think you're saying that the confidence is an outgrowth of competence.
Right. Yeah.
And perhaps we should focus more on building competence than building confidence.
I like Steve Harris's quote. He says that the feeling of confidence comes after the act of confidence. So when you've done a lot of confidence building tasks, then you start feeling confidence, because a lot of the times that we want to feel confidence and then do the act.
Right.
So it's like,
yeah.
And I also liked what you're talking about with comparisons. That's something that it's so easy to fall into at whatever level you're at. You compare yourself to your peers, your dad, your friends,
Right.
people making more money. There's always someone you can compare yourself to. It's part of our wiring, and there's got to be a way to kind of disengage from that. Like I really liked. I mean, what you're describing, Chuck, is a self-talk practice. That you're always consciously making a choice of the type of self-talk that you have, and that's something that I've really gotten into in the past year. Is self-talk practice, and having that that idea that we can take radical responsibility for our thoughts, and we have to. That's the only good choice. So, I like that you're practicing it.
so this, we want our readers to get to know, or our listeners to get to know you more, Ari. So this is like your limelight. So I think I've got some questions about, like you talked about competence and confidence. Oh,
It must be my dad.
yeah. It's like, is he doing a competent job here?
Yeah.
So where have you felt really competent and confident that you never questioned it? Have you ever felt like that in your life?
Sometimes, but it's been kind of fleeting, I would say. It's funny. Like the thing that comes to mind is like some some wedding roasts that I've done where I've spent like a lot of time creating this like comedy roast of like siblings or friends, where I put like, like 20 hours into it. And that's something where, and to get that kind of reception from an audience, obviously it's an audience that probably is familiar with me, but that felt like I was really competent, like I was excelling. And I think that's another wrinkle of this, is that I have a need to feel excellent at things and not just competent. I feel adequate about quite a few things, but to feel really excellent is something else.
So have you put 20 hours into your lighting?
It feels like it, but it's not there yet. I mean, that, but to go back to something like the lighting, like there's certain things that come up where I don't have this belief in myself that I can figure it out. And granted, this lighting is not something I've ever studied, but like I often don't have that self-belief that I can figure it out. And I think that's hampering me. It's getting in the way of me trying things out, taking risks, making mistakes, iterating things, so that's something I'm working on. I really like Dr. Glover's mantra of "I'll handle it." So I've tried to adopt that. But yeah.
Is that because you want things? I guess most nice guys do. They want it to be perfect or just right. It's like that black and white thinking is either I'm shit or I'm really good. It's nothing in the middle, or I can't tolerate it being, it's okay. It's enough. But it's always like, it's never enough, never enough, never enough. It has to be the best. It has to be the best. If it's not the best, it's not. Right.
It's shit. Yeah.
It's shit. Yeah. It's black and white. It's either, it's never like, okay, you know what? This will pass, but it's no.
Well, right now, I think my lighting passes.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. Okay. Help.
Because you haven't put 20 hours into it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's because I don't know, when I have the same feeling as well. I was thinking, actually, if I had more patience, dedicated more time to it, and really focused on it, could I achieve something that I admire? And there have been many times, and that's where my self-worth comes in. I have to prove myself. It's like, okay, well, Faisal, prove yourself, but you can't prove yourself by just saying it. You have to do it dedicatedly. Like, you dedicate time to it, allocate time to it, have some patience, stick to it, dedicate it. There's a really good book I like on this that really helped me, was Mastery by George Leonard. And it's like, every guy I work with, I'm saying, get this book first. And he talks about that, a lot of the times we just want to do something and achieve an amazing result. But he was talking about there's so many times that masters will go on this journey where there's going to be a lot of plateau. They're not going to feel this growth for a long time. And most people give up because they're not getting the feeling. Whereas masters trust the fact that this is the process of going through the plateau. Nothing's going to happen. You're not going to see any results, but you have to trust the fact that in the background, it's developing. And that's what masters do. And this is something that, it comes with developing that maturity and that patience. I don't always have it. I guess, it's a human thing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but you're right about patience. And I haven't believed that I have the patience to spend 20 hours on lighting. And frankly, I'd rather someone show me what to do,
Yeah, I think that I wrote about this. You mentioned no matter what happens, I'll handle it. And I wrote about this on the Integration Nation timeline of my new mantra is something I saw, which was, I think kind of like a rock climber or a mountain, hiker, that kind of thing. Was this patch that said, expect to self-rescue, no one's coming. And I just like that in terms of like, I've got to do this. No one's coming to fix my lighting, you know? And if I kind of have that mentality of like, nope, this is up to me. I got to do this. It's easier to pay somebody to do it. And definitely I pay people to do a lot of stuff that I don't like to do. But there's also, I think, a piece of us that gives up pretty easily, instead of just like, it's like, I'm gonna dedicate myself. I'm gonna go watch some YouTube videos, or I'm gonna do, get a book, or I'm gonna educate myself on this. That there's a part of the confidence that comes about that. Oh, actually, I can learn to do most anything, and I can become pretty good at most anything. So if it's something that is bothering me, then change it, So if I don't like something about myself, change it. If I don't like the fact that I don't know how to fix cars, take some classes, I don't like the fact that I don't know how to play guitar, download an app, start playing, But there's so much freaking information out there. There's,
But
and
not
it's
enough time.
free, and you can
Wait,
learn to do anything.
I guess I get that point as well, but also, I want to use my time efficiently, so I don't want to learn some of the things. I have no fucking interest in sorting out the plumbing. But what I like the fact is no one's coming to rescue, and I think when I saw that on the timeline, I was thinking, that's such a great reminder, because no one's coming to rescue me, and it's that you take responsibility, and
Mhm.
responsibility could be outsourcing it
Could
rather
be.
than yeah, rather than saying, hey, complaining, because, for example, there's a boiler broken down or something like that. I'm not fixing that because I need someone who's qualified to handle that. So rather than me going, oh, shit, it's cold, boiler's not working, and I'm trying to middle with it, I might as well say, look, the most efficient thing here, what's the most efficient thing? Get somebody to actually handle that so I can then focus on that.
If you
So
can
I
find
like,
somebody, if it's in the middle of winter and everybody else's boiler is going out, because I've found this happen to myself a number of times where it's like I had a water heater. It went out in the middle of winter, and there was nobody that was available for weeks on end. And it was like, we're going to be out without cold water unless I figure out how to do this, So I watched a couple of YouTube videos. I saw, it was not that difficult to do. I went out, got a water heater, installed it, put it up, working. I felt pretty good about myself as a result of that. So
yeah.
not always is there somebody around that's going to be there that you can call. And I think that having some basic skill sets
Hmm.
about how to fix something, you know, um, challenging yourself a little bit on how to do some things, like it's not that hard most of the time. You just don't know how to do it.
Yeah,
So
one of the things that I always feel like if I'm going to fix something, I need a manual. Like I'm good if I have a manual. If I have to really figure it out and try 5 different things or 10 different things, I get frustrated. So
yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like YouTube is an amazing thing. Like I learned how to put in a garbage disposal. I fixed a door frame. I've done a lot of things that I've done myself, not because I've wanted to, but because you know by the time I could get somebody out to do it, or the added cost involved for somebody to come out and put in you know something that took me 15 minutes to do. It's like it was worth watching a video. But I think the idea
There's
is you also have to have the confidence in yourself that you can learn to do something. Not that you can do it, but that you can learn to do it.
So
it's
Ari, I've got a question. It's not about
yeah.
the lighting. the bedroom. No one has spoken about this, but what about the bedroom? Do you feel competent in the bedroom?
Yeah, I actually
Or
feel
are
pretty,
you, or
pretty
do you need a
confident in the
manual?
bedroom.
You need a manual.
We're not talking about making our bed here because you usually
No,
give me a hard time about that. No, I feel pretty confident in the bedroom. I mean, there's always ways to level up, but that's been part of my nice guy recovery, you know, and that's not something, you can read a lot about it, but that just takes practice.
Well, do you feel competent in the bedroom about you relaxing and being and just receiving pleasure? Or do you feel like I'm good at making her orgasm? Because I think that's what a lot of nice guys are. I feel competent in that, like, yeah, I can make her come and I can, do all this kind of stuff. But
Oh, I
the,
like that question.
Now
I
this
like that
episode's getting
question.
really personal. You know,
Yeah.
that's something I've gotten better at. Yeah, and that's just been a gradual thing over time. Yeah, receiving pleasure, asking for it, being assertive about it, not tolerating one-sidedness in the bedroom. Those are things that I've worked on. So, yeah, that's an area of competence. But plumbing, not so much.
Lighting, not so much. Yeah. Imagine the light is the feminine, and you said, "I've got to fix this.
I gotta fix this fucking thing.
I've got to fix another problem to fix."
Yeah.
Yeah, we can fix.
But
You can fix.
I think
bedroom.
if you have basic skill sets, like you don't have to feel like completely competent in it. But it goes back to the no matter what, I'll handle it. But you can't handle stuff that you don't know how to do, right? So I think guys in general, and sweeping generalization here, women too need this, but some basic skills in mechanics, some basic skills in accounting, some basic skills in electricity and plumbing and those kind of things. You don't have to become an expert overnight, but as stuff comes up, challenge yourself. I had this motorcycle years ago, and one of the reasons I got it was because I wanted to learn how mechanics worked. And I remember
Chuck has really done everything in life. You've had a full life.
Thanks. Yeah,
Five marriages, 10 babies.
Yeah, those aren't even counting the ones that are just floating out there that I don't even know about. But that I was like, I want to learn to fix this. So, and this was kind of before YouTube even. But I did. I bought a manual on the bike, and I needed to fix the brakes, and I fixed the brakes, and it felt really, really good. That wasn't something that I was competent at all. But now, if I needed to fix the brakes on something, I have a basic idea of how it works. I would probably still have somebody do it, but if all of a sudden I was in a spot where I had to do it, I could figure it out. And I think that's the mantra of no matter what happens, I'll handle it. You also have to know some basic things. And listen, I'm older than you guys, so I've got a lot more experience and a lot more time in doing these things.
Faisal, would you let him fix your brake?
Well, see, this is a great point because my son, he had a puncture on his bike, and I remember when I was like 12, 13 years old, I could rip a whole bike apart, put it back together. My BMX bike, I painted it matte black, and I was really excited about it. And modern kids these days, they're so numbed on social media that the competency around the house is appalling. Like they can't even fix a goddamn most things anyway. So I said to my son, "Look, here's a bike. It's got a puncture. Figure it out." And he's like, "Yeah, but where do I start?" I said, "Figure it out. Just attempt at it. At least attempt at it. Even if it takes you 5-6 hours, go." And I gave him some guidance, a little bit of guidance, just to get it going. But I said, "Look, you got to build that competence. You got to have that patience, and you got to have." Once he started working on it, and he also, worked on the puncher. Then he also painted it as well. Look, I painted my bike when I was young because I want to change the color. And afterwards, there was such a feeling of self-worth. And I think this is why a lot of us are lacking self-esteem, self-worth, is because we're not doing or sticking to, this is probably the more important part, sticking to things that build your self-worth. Competency is being able to say, I'm not going to finish until I achieve a competent level of this. And I'm going to stick to this, because we have this shiny object syndrome where, oh, let me do that. Let me start this. Let me start the thing, and not finishing something. So this is why the book, when I recommended Mastery, and he said something that on the book title, it's like, this is a journey to fulfillment. And I'm saying, how is constantly doing habits or something a journey to fulfillment? But it is, because when you focus on doing something at a competent level, you feel a lot more fulfilled and self-worth in that.
Okay, that seems like a good place to end this podcast. And before you ask me more questions about my bedroom performance,
I bet you've got no issues in lighting in there, have you? Strobe lights, red lights, got a mirror,
disco lights. Yeah. So thank you for the encouragement today, and thank you guys for the patience with my lighting. And if you like this episode, check out episode number 29, Evolving Beyond the Nice Guy, the High Value Man. And, if you're not a subscriber, hit that subscribe button and give us some feedback and get on our mailing list. And we'll see you next time, everybody.
You've been listening to The Nice Guy Show with certified Nice Guy recovery coaches Ari Graff, Chuck Chapman, and Faisal Khokhar. Be sure to subscribe to this channel so you can listen to our latest episodes, and visit us on www.theniceguyshow.com. If you have any topics you'd like to hear us discuss, send us an email at support@theniceguyshow.com. Thanks for listening.